What is happening, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Comic Book Weekly. That's right. We got Brant, Kat, and myself on the show. And you got to love how the name changes. Says, well, I wonder who's going to get the blames for holding up the show this week. And he goes, my guess is only good comics.
I gotta say, it was all of us this timer.
We all came on around the same time, and then I had a mic issue or a speaker issue. So I had to kind of reset. But yeah, that's why we tell you guys to come on 10:15. So you're here and you're waiting for us. So we know we have an audience already. Instead of starting with nobody, right? So at least there's a few of you on here that we can talk to. So, but as usual, guys, we have a good show planned for you. Sorry we did miss last week, but a lot of it was a couple of different things. But I was really pretty sick last week, so there was no way I could have came on last week. So, but we're here today, and we're definitely going to bring you some cool news, some good comic book talk, and obviously, take your comments, and questions.
And your comics. We're going to steal all your comics.
Just going to take them all.
Yeah.
Send them all to us.
What do you want to do? You want to start with the news this time, Kat?
Yeah, there's a lot of books out, so let's do some news. Okay. So you played a Brant this week, Mike. You did not watch the trailer for Thunderbolts, but Brant did. So I actually want to hear Brant's thoughts first on Lenny on the Thunderbolts.
Yeah, I pulled a mic, so I actually watched the trailer for once. It was okay. I mean, there wasn't. It's a little bit more than the teaser, but they didn't give a whole lot away. Just that all the Thunderbolts are being targeted, and so they're teaming up to kind of thwart whatever that is. So it was very little on the plot, a little heavier on the action. But I liked seeing all the characters. I like some of the characters, so we'll see what it's all about as we get closer to it.
And it's also very anti-hero driven. That's kind of you saw the heroes, you saw the villains, now you get to see the anti-heroes. I thought it was interesting that White Widow, the Florence Pugh's character, is the lead, and I mean it makes sense because she's the biggest name of the movie. So, but you don't usually get to see that very often. So I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, it didn't blow my mind, but at least it felt a little different than some of the other Marvel movies we've gotten.
It could have a potential of being a good movie, though.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I just don't think there's a wow factor, but it looks different. It feels a little different.
Yeah, I mean, I really like Yelena's character from both Hawkeye and Black Widow. I really like her character, and as long as she's in the lead, and you got some of the comedic elements from Black Widow with I can't think of the Russian guy's name.
Yeah, Red Guardian.
Yeah, and then you got Bucky coming in and U.S. Agent, so you got that more serious side too. So you got a good balance of characters. I think it could be good.
And if you guys watched the Captain America show, I didn't, but it seems like it's pulling a lot from that show because you also have Julia Dreyfus. So
right.
We got a lot of welcomes here. Thank you guys so much. We got Paul, we got Sticks Boy, we got Casino Comics. Thank you guys for watching.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
We are going to go some comic news here. We are going to save the crossover news for last because that's our main topic. But Image Comics is teasing a Grant Morrison project. So everyone's just doing some Image Comics stuff, doing some indie stuff. I don't remember the last time we've seen Grant Morrison doing anything, honestly.
It's been a while, but I mean, if you notice that image, it has ice cream on it. So I know a lot of people are teasing that he could be doing some attached to it, or maybe taking it over. I don't even know. So
I mean, now that it's got that, it's doing like a movie or something, right?
It's been optioned. So he might actually take over the writing duties, and then you got Maxwell Prince who writes the book. So maybe he's going to be doing the movie aspect of it now. So hey, Grant Morrison's perfect for that weird crap, so. True.
We also have Six Boy who says it was great meeting me this weekend. No, it was great meeting you as well. Baltimore Comic-Con was great. We were nominated for a Ringo, so that was kind of crazy. It was a legit dinner and sitting and just talking to catching up with people or meeting different people, and also just being a fan because we didn't table at Baltimore, so it was really cool just like walking around and just being able to be a fan, and again running into familiar faces. Six Boy being one of them, and then running into people I know on the internet. They were like comics, but haven't seen in person. So yeah, it was just a really nice show, and the Ringos was great. So that was fun. We also have a Hey from The Last Bob, so welcoming them as well. All right, let's move on to the next topic. Unless Brant, did you have more to say about Grant Morrison?
No.
Cool. Let's go on to the next one, which is something we were actually going to talk about last week. So I'm going to put these together. There's a lot of solo series from X-Men. We now got Magik and we got Rogue. And there's the question of, is it too many solo series for the X-Men?
Yes.
But there definitely is. But I feel like I kind of like a solo series more, and that's just coming from me. But I think there's too many series in general from the X-Men, which is the actual problem. Where I'm like, all right, I don't want 20 series, but I do like seeing individuals, characters, getting to see them and spotlighting them. Like Magik is always a character I've wanted to get into, but do we need Rogue, Savage Land? I don't know. Like we have a lot of Rogue already, but I'm on the fence with it because I just feel like we've seen a lot of team books from X-Men already, and we haven't seen as many solo books.
The thing with the Rogue thing, it's a period piece, right? It's like a flashback, it's a nostalgia book, one of those.
Yeah.
So it's like with those kind of series, I don't like really, care if they exist or not, just because if you're into the nostalgic stuff, you can go pick that up, but it doesn't impact like the main stuff going on in the present. Right. But like, I don't know if Magik's is current or not.
Magik, I think is current.
Yeah. And Storm's as well, I believe. So when you start just putting too much out there at the same time, that's when I have
exactly. And that's what I was going to say. I mean, listen, Illyana and Rogue, like they're going to be sexy lady covers. So everyone's going to buy those covers. Right.
Yeah.
And then, but like Brant said, when it comes to the X-Men, just everything is coming out so soon. Like, why do you need that book right now? And why do you need the Rogue book right now? Like, why can't you spread it out? Like, spread it out next year or something like that. Be like, okay, yeah, we'll announce it, but it's going to come out next year. So it's
I think that's the market right now and I was just saying, like, I'm not one to usually get 17 books every week, but I've been getting like 17 books because there's just been so much issue ones and X-Men books I actually been keeping on my pull list, which is great because I'm glad that there's some good books out there. But it's a lot of books. So you're going to have to cut the cord on maybe some books that you probably would have kept because it's like a mid-tier book. But you're like, well, no, I can only get the great books.
Yeah, or you don't give a book a chance. As long
as
you would,
like Rogue Savage Land.
Yeah, it's like Rogue Savage Land. Yeah,
Yeah, that's the thing. Like when you're presented with that choice, it's like, well, I'm going to pick Magik because that's more current and you don't see a whole lot of Magik, right?
Right.
So, just a little diluted, I guess.
Yeah.
I hope to like the Magik one if it out of all these conversations. Like, I just want to like that character. So I would really like to hope there's a series out there that can kind of change your mind on her. Because I don't think she's had a really great story in a very long time, honestly, since probably New Mutants.
I agree. And I like her as a character, and I like her as a captain in the X-Men. I just, again, we don't see a whole lot of her. Yeah.
I forgot if X-Men came out this week. I think it did. And we'll talk about that as well.
Yeah. I did.
So we'll give our full thoughts on X-Men and how she's doing there. But let's move on to the next thing. I'm surprised that Mike didn't mark this down, but Charles Soule and Ryan Browne are doing the follow-up of 8 Billion Genies, and now it's Lucky Devils. So
I probably totally just overlooked it.
Okay, because I was like, are you done with this series? Like,
no, man, no, I'll buy it all day long. I think it's a great. I think it would be a pretty cool sequel just to see what they'll do with it.
Yeah, it looked interesting too because it's like it's similar but just like with a different perspective on it basically.
Yeah,
so it can be really interesting. So hopefully it ends stronger than 8 Billion Genies did because I didn't love the way
I agree. I mean, the thing is like it's kind of like almost like what was it, Nightclub, right? It's like the original concept is great, but how are you going to make the second volume of this like just as great or if not better, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, moving on to the next thing, which is this is another bigger news piece from last week, which is the new Champions ongoing. And my biggest problem with this book is I don't know anyone on the team except I think Spider-Boy is on it. Like there's like different versions of these characters, like
These
Miss Marvel
were all
Boy.
the people in Spider-Woman.
Yeah.
So remember when we told you that new group? That's them.
Yeah.
Most of them anyway.
Did they continue to be in that series or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
they were
so
there
are
at the
they
very
characters
end.
that fleshed out? Are they characters people need a series from?
So they were kind of forced to be like on that team. It was kind of this weird thing where they were basically brainwashed.
They're brainwashed by the who was that Hulk wannabe? What's his name?
I can't think of his name.
I forgot his name. Yeah, the Gremlin. Right?
Is that what it was?
Yeah, I think it was the Gremlin, and he's dressed like a Hulk character, and he was the one brainwashing them, putting them false memories in them and stuff like that. And so when the secret was spilled, they figured out who they were, and now it was just like the story kind of ended at Spider-Woman, and now you're figuring out that these guys are going to be the next like champions. You know?
So
and some of them emulated other heroes. Yeah.
So are you guys excited to read it? Because for me, as someone who just saw them,
I wouldn't say I'm out of my mind, jumping up and down, going, "Oh, the new champions ongoing. This is great." Like it doesn't even give me like New Warrior vibes. You know, it's just
because they're all unknown.
It doesn't feel like a book that needs, and I hate to say this, every book deserves to exist, but it's just like, is there a want in the market for something like this? I want to see Kamala. I want to see more, Gwen has an ongoing, but like, I want to see characters I already know and like to have more.
I guess I'll say this and I'll let you go, Mike. Just real quickly, we didn't know who the new Avengers were or the Young Avengers were either until they were there. And
but there was Scott, there was Miss Marvel. There was like a few characters, but Vision was in the Vision book. Like they became more fleshed out there, but they had existed in other series, multiple series, not just one.
Yeah, you're right. So I'm just of these technically, it's not quite the same.
I'm all in for like giving new characters a try. Yeah. But when you see the initial concept of them, they just look like a bunch of like ripoffs,
100%.
Especially like the Moon Knight character. Like, how do you get this Moon Knight character? Like, it's not like Khonshu's going to be like, "Oh, you're the Moon Knight boy." You know what I'm saying? It doesn't work that way. Yeah. And then you got another Captain Marvel guy, and then they just seem like they're just like more versions of characters that we already have. Like, you got a Captain Marvel, then you got Ms. Marvel, and then you got another Marvel guy. We don't need more interpretations of characters that we have. If you want a new character, make a new character completely new.
And I just feel like the pitch is not organic. It just, like I was saying, like, it just doesn't feel like, it just feels like, oh, well, we need a Champions book, I guess, It doesn't feel like, well, this is my Champions pitch. So I don't know. We'll see what ends up happening with it. I might get the first issue if there's not a lot of books, but there's also a lot of books. Let me see. Actually, that's a very good question because that also might convince us yes or no if we're going to pick it up. Fox. I don't know what they've written. I've heard the name before, but I'm not.
I've seen it. I just can't place. What they've written.
Maybe like Ironheart or something like that. Let me look it up. I feel like it's one of those books. They are writing or have written X-Men 97, Dead X-Men. That's pretty much it. So the Dead X-Men book, which I wasn't a huge fan of.
No. Yeah, me either. But that doesn't, I mean.
I
don't know. Like you said, if it's not a heavy week or something, I might give it a shot. But it's, at least I do, Mike and I at least have some familiarity with the characters.
Right.
So there is that.
Yeah.
Right.
In the Spider-Woman book, which I feel like hasn't been a huge book. So I just, again, that's the part that feels a little weird to me.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're gonna move. Oh, go ahead, say.
I just said I agree.
Yeah. Moving on to month-long What If event with Galactus. Of course, they want to promote Galactus because the Fantastic Four, and they're doing it. And it's like your usual suspects: Spider-Gwen's Galactus. I think in here, like it's it's stuff.
Is it like what if they became Galactus, or if it's the Herald of Galactus?
Herald. Yeah, I think it's
yeah,
Herald.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Herald as well.
What would be the point?
No,
of
actually,
Gwen
I think
being
it's
the
Galactus.
Herald of Galactus.
Oh, really?
I don't think it's the way it's worded here. It's what if Galactus hold on, let me go up. Transforms into Spider-Gwen, but I think that's give me 1 second because my thing is going slow. Yeah, what if Galactus transforms Spider-Gwen? No, it is Herald because it's transforming. Yeah. Okay, so never mind. And go on, Mike.
No, I said, what is the point of changing Spider-Gwen into a Herald of Galactus? Right? Yeah. It's not a cosmic entity. Like when you look at Silver Surfer, it makes sense, right? He's a galactic, he's a cosmic being. You know, Fire Lord, like I can see that. Like there's all these different characters, like Spider-Gwen.
Yeah, like I can understand like the characters they're showing here. I can understand Hulk because of the power. I could understand Rogue or even Moon Knight, but Gambit. Spider-Gwen,
I think just mostly they're just like, oh, these are popular characters. Let's see what happens. But look, they kind of convinced me with Spider-Gwen because I pick up anything Spider-Gwen, so I'm like, I guess I'll pick this up. So they're doing something right. And then again, the costume is like, oh, that looks cool enough, I guess. But no, I mean, what ifs are exactly.
You might want to pick those up just to see like
how they do it,
fun they are, or how goofy or silly they could be, right?
Yeah.
So next up, we have only something I care about, but I care about it very deeply, and that's Snotgirl returning. 4 years. I love Snotgirls. I could pick this up, and I'll know what's gonna happen.
4 years only? It's been out longer than that.
It's been 4 years. They said in the article. It's been long. That's the hiatus. Is how long it's been. 4 years.
Oh, from the.
Yeah, since like that's the long hiatus. Yeah, no, the book is older, but like the hiatus has been 4 years. And I feel bad for people who are like casual readers of that book because no one's gonna remember anything, and it's gonna pick up exactly where it left off. And like, I love this book, so I'll know exactly where I'm at. But so weird. 4 years later, I'm so curious what took that hiatus.
That is so funny. I remember you talking about it. But it's
I love the book. It's one of my favorites.
I read like the first couple issues of it, I think.
I never read it at all.
There's something about it that I just love, like the themes. I enjoyed the characters. I liked how like kooky it was. Felt like a reality television show. I like the art style. Look, pick it up, but it's not gonna be new reader friendly. Like I think like they gave a little preview of what's going to be, and it's just jumping straight in. It's like, wow. Again, 4 years. I'm glad it's back, at least if anything for me. But yeah, pick it up. Pick up the trades if you haven't. It's a good one.
Oh, I see. It ended right at the pandemic.
And we were slow at it before that.
Would it take forever for like between issues? Was it like a series like that?
Mm-hmm. It would take like 4 months or 6 months for an issue to come out.
Maybe they took some time to get ahead this time. Maybe it'll come out consistently.
Got a question here. It says, question, how do Marvel heroes fight Galactus? Are there physical fights? There's been, right?
Yeah.
There's been fights for Fantastic
Four. A lot of times it's the Herald, though. I feel like he sends somebody to fight.
Yeah, usually they try to find some other place for him to go. Like they'll trap him in another dimension, or they'll find another planet for him to drain. It's more trying to get him away from there, like trying to talk him down.
Right.
But yeah, there is sometimes like Silver Surfer would fight.
There was the most recent Marvel Anniversary issue that had the first story that featured Ms. Marvel as a Herald of Galactus.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know if you guys read that, but that was like the best story in the book for me. But she actually like was being a herald, finding planets that were like unpopulated for Galactus to try to eat. So, I don't know, but
Yeah, there have also been like goofy stories like Squirrel Girl has beaten Galactus and things.
Oh
like
yeah, that's right. Yep.
So moving on to that, there's a new limited series for Daredevil, which is Elektra's Daredevil, and this is Red Band. And the reason I want to talk about it is I thought the other one was ongoing, so that's just A. So it's the same creative team, or at least the same writer, now writing a limited series, and now they're like, we're gonna make it a Red Band series, which, as you've noticed with these Red Band books, they're not actually that Red Band. So it's just like, so what's the move here?
And now we're like putting it in the title. It's like Red Band.
Red Band.
And now it's a mini series. So it's just like, I don't understand the move. I'll pick it up because I've been reading Elektra, but it's weird for anyone who wants to follow the series like 2 years from now. It's like, okay, so where do I read next?
Right. And I like it's Erica Schultz, right? I like Erica Schultz on Elektra Daredevil. I like her voice there, but I'm like you. I thought it was ongoing. And second, making this like Red Band because that's the current trend or whatever kind of turns me off of it a little bit. So,
and only currently trending in Marvel, so that's what's like so crazy. It's like it's their own trend they're trying to make. I mean, which again, granted, they're making money off of it, but
people are they're catching on though. People are like, it's not that different. Like it's not that big of a deal. Yeah, so you're not if there's two versions of it, people are gonna stop buying two, and they're just gonna buy one of them,
which most likely will be the Red Band, which I'd be picking.
Like I would buy the Red Band one just because like it has the couple more pages, but it's not like this. I'm not gonna sit there and sell it and be like, oh my god, this is the most goriest thing I've ever read, when I can read a regular Wolverine book and has more gore, or Get Fury and that has more gore, and there's a lot of other Marvel titles out there that just look more violent than what's going on in these Red Band books,
And this is a question from Tevia. Is anyone excited for Elektra Daredevil? More than current Daredevil, if I'm being honest. I pick up her then instead of Matt because I just think she's more interesting.
I agree with that. Yeah.
I don't have an issue with her. The only thing I know, like, people get so wrapped up in like, why do we need a female hero? Why do we need all these different heroes? Like, I know I talked about that with the Champions book, right? But at the end of the day, you're looking for a good story. So if it's a good story, then who cares, right? Let them be a female. Let them be racial swap. Let them be, gay. Let them be whatever. As long as the story is good, that's all that's ever mattered to me, right?
And guess what? Elektra's, again, been the more solid book. And because she just has the more interesting theme currently. I think her trying to fight off this urge to be an assassin is really interesting. I think I think that Erica Schultz writes her interestingly. I just hate how they treat some of these characters. Again, like the idea of like Elektra being Daredevil is exciting. Give her the spot like you did with Jane. I think Jane is a great example of Marvel having her back in a lot of ways. Like they gave her the spotlight. She was in that Thor book for like 2 years. And I just wish they would treat the other characters that way, like your Spider-Gwens, like your Elektras.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And I think, in both cases with Jane and Elektra, their arcs over the years have made sense to bring them both to that point where they, it makes sense Elektra becoming Daredevil. So.
I mean, again, Tevia sits here and he does say, he's like, I don't hate Elektra Daredevil, but Chip Zdarsky, she was great, but then this new writer seems best. But I mean, sure,
ones have to end as well,
Yeah, it's just like, unfortunately, you can't have the same writer on a character forever. It just doesn't work that way anymore, unless it's an independent book and that person is going to write that story as long as they want to. That's just the way it is for these big two. So every writer is going to write their version of that character, right?
Yeah.
And Dynamite says, why can't Elektra just be Elektra? Why does she need to be Daredevil? Honestly, sales. When's the last time Elektra has sold as an Elektra book?
Yeah, that's true.
Very rarely, but her as Daredevil is going to sell a little bit better.
Yeah. The comment after that, I just want to mention this because we had a story in our that we weren't going to talk about another imprinted image. I did not see this one.
Me either. Maybe it's the same one. I don't think it is. But...
maybe. I know Ron B. That's the story I'm talking about. Ron B's doing an imprint there as well. We were kind of joking about how many imprints there are in Image, but yeah,
we just didn't really have anything else to say about it, so that's why we're going to talk about it. But yeah, there's so many imprints, and we were saying pre-show, like it's cool. Like, I mean, because, and we'll talk about this with the crossovers, is just the idea that imprints don't mean you have to read everything. It just means they're catered to, if you like these creators, they're going to be doing this thing. Right. And I like that. I think it's great that they're getting ownership and hopefully money. And that's all that really matters.
Listen, I mean, with Image Comics and all the people that are writing comic books for them, I eventually I could see them being the top publisher. Like, there's a lot of books that they're publishing right now.
I don't disagree, and I hope they do. Yeah. I mean, if you look at Skybound, which is part of Image, they kind of already are a top publisher because Transformers is selling very well. G.I. Joe sells really well. I
think I saw an article with like issue 13 is already sold to comic shops 100,000 copies.
And that's a 13.
And that's an issue 13. No. Like, you don't see that from a like independent book on a 13th issue, you know? I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Look, we want the industry to grow, and that's the way to do it. And let's hope to see these numbers continue. So moving on to some more Big Two stuff. Ben Percy has not been gone from Wolverine very long, but he's back, and he's writing Deadpool and Wolverine, which, of course, because there was a movie. So we're going to get a series.
Yeah, I mean, like, why not? You know, and I've read a lot of Benjamin Percy's Wolverine stuff, and it was really good. So I think that we'll check this out, at least the first few issues, to see what it's about.
Next up is Lois is becoming Superwoman again. We saw a little image that Joshua Williamson was sharing. And because it's Joshua Williamson, I'm interested. I love that run. I think he does a great job. He knows these characters well. You know, it's not something we haven't seen before. Like we've seen Lois as Superwoman, especially in post New 52 a lot. But cool, yeah, I'm in. Let's see what's gonna happen. Art looks good.
It's Dan Mora art, so it's Joshua Williamson, Dan Mora. I'm in. I mean, that's all you gotta say to me. I don't care who it is, what character it is, but it did look really cool.
So the last thing we're going to talk about is our main topic here, which is the Ghost Machine crossover and X-Men crossover. So both are pretty within, right? Ghost Machine is one book, which I believe is the Rockefellers, and it's just that these characters are going to show up. That and then X-Men is like 1 month of a crossover event. So we're going to see like how these characters interact. And I think that's kind of how you do a crossover event in my brain. I think when you make it 3 months and this is the biggest deal ever, it just gets too overwhelming. When you're just like, no, this is just for the characters to meet, that we live in the same world. Let's see what happens. That's what I like. So I like the X-Men starting small with this new era, and Ghost Machine is starting small. And for me,
is the X-Men like crossing over with the other X-Men books?
Yeah, so like X-Men, the main title is going to cross over with like Uncanny X-Men.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's been hinted at kind of a little bit if you've been reading the books. Like Cyclops is involved with all the teams. Like you constantly see him talking with the other characters.
I just want to interrupt for a second just to bring up this comment. Did you guys already talk about the Sonic and DC crossover? That was the other news piece that we also had nothing to say about. So we're like, cool. But we didn't have too much to say about it.
Yeah. But yeah, the one preview I saw, like they were fighting against each other, and it has something to do with, going to Graymalkin, which I think is where I don't know where Graymalkin is right now. Anyway, they're in conflict with each other for some reason. I'm not exactly sure on the story. Yeah, I'll look it up. But yeah, you're right. They have been kind of hinting at them crossing over. They've had like Rogue and Cyclops talking to each other,
right,
and stuff like that. It says raid on Graymalkin across X-Men titles in December.
I've been looking for a reason to keep or cut Uncanny and normal X-Men. If the crossover works, I might stick with both. I like Uncanny a lot. We'll talk about X-Men as well because that came out this week. Uncanny comes out next week or tomorrow.
I mean, when I look at the X books that I plan on keeping, it's Uncanny, it's X-Men, and right now it's X Factor. If those are the three that I'm
no exceptional.
Exceptional is which
the
one?
Kitty Pryde one.
Emma Frost.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry, we haven't gotten that far yet. Yeah, I am. Yeah, I am definitely. I forgot about that one already because see, there's already so many. But yeah, no, I'm keeping that for right now. I guess it makes sense because those are the three main books, and then everything else was kind of like the next tier, next tier. So we'll see. I have no plans on keeping NYX. I definitely don't.
I think I might even drop that one, and I like NYX like as a franchise, and I don't know if I'm keeping it.
Like I don't even. I have no interest in learning about what's his name. Noel. He's like the next one that's in there. Yeah. So it's like I don't care.
There's so many books, man.
Yeah. So I like that it's just 4 parts. It goes back and forth between X-Men and Uncanny. It's like back in the day when we'd have like, these short little crossovers.
That's cool.
I like that better. Yeah.
Is there going to be a Junkyard Joe relaunch? I haven't heard of anything. I'm curious why that didn't. Maybe because it was connected to Geiger and they just continued Geiger instead.
He's in Geiger.
Yeah.
He isn't. I think if I remember reading Geiger correctly, I think he's in kind of search for Geiger, and there might be this time stream thing or something, some time thing that's going to happen to where he's going to catch up with Geiger somewhere down the road here.
I don't remember. He may be one of the ones that shows up in Rockefeller. I know Geiger, Hyde Street, Redcoat, and Rook are all going to show up. In the Rocketfellers book. But
I'm really looking forward to the Hyde Street book. I read the preview.
Me too.
In I don't even know where it was, which book I read, but I saw that preview and I read it. I'm like, this is pretty good, man. There's not anything that in Ghost Machine that I haven't enjoyed so far. I personally like everything. I know I thought that Redcoat was going to be a book that I did not like, and I actually really do like it.
I continued it.
Yeah, and then just like with them crossing over things, that will be very interesting. I'm not sure how it's going to work, but I think they've done a great job at kind of really introducing the characters and getting people know who these characters are to the point to where they can cross over a bit. So I am definitely excited for it.
Charlie does bring up a good point of it being an issue too, though. It's like, maybe we want to learn more about them first.
Yeah, it is weird that it's an issue too, but at the same time, like they're traveling through time or multiverse or whatever their deal is, right? So it kind of makes sense, and it's probably just going to be like little cameo kind of things, but it's something to establish that
they're
all
like
these
time travelers, right?
Together, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They're like a Fantastic Four family or something.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, but I think somehow they got stuck in this Earth. I think that's what it was. Yeah. It was so long ago since we read that preview. Right. I don't remember 100%.
Yeah, I don't either exactly. I remember it vaguely for sure though.
So. And I think that's it for the news. I mean, crossovers, I think we're going to buy them. I'm excited to see where Ghost Machine goes. I'm more excited for the later series because that's what I liked from the one shot. But yeah, I mean, they're doing it right. Like everyone says, it's cool what they're building.
What favorite Ghost Machine title? What do you read from there right now, Kat? Do you read any of them?
No, because I'm waiting for the other 3 because I want Hyde Street, the Rockefellers, whatever those kids were. I think maybe that was the Hyde Street one, the one that the 2 kids.
Oh,
the angel and the devil.
The devil and angel one.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that one.
Is, but yeah.
So all those in the one shot was the one I liked more. So I was just like, so I've been waiting to read those. But yeah, no, Rook Exodus wasn't for me. And then I don't read the red, whatever it's called, Redcoat, I read only the first issue, and then Geiger, I read the first issue like 20,000 years ago, and I didn't pick up the next issue. I didn't think it'd be new reader friendly.
Hornsby and Halo. That's the name.
Oh, that's it.
That's the one I'm really excited for. That impressed me a lot in the one shot. But yeah, all three of those were ones I was more excited for. So, because also I like Francis Manipul's in the upcoming one.
Yeah. Yep. What about you, Brent? What's your favorite? Is it Rook?
Yeah, Rook's by far my favorite, and I like Geiger a lot more than I thought I would, because I tried the first issue like way back when it first came out too, and I couldn't get into it. But for whatever reason, when they relaunched it, it just appealed to me. I think maybe
it's got a lot of heart now.
Yeah, it's got a lot of heart, and when you added the Nate into there, and you got that dynamic between the three of them, those two and the dog.
Barney.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know, there's something about it that made it better, made it stronger.
We didn't even talk about last week's issue. Like, he winds up getting a little zebra now, right? And he named him Zigzag. and he's like, I want him, Mr. Geiger. And he's like, no, I don't want another mouth to feed. He's like, no, yes, it's settled. We're taking him. His name is Zigzag. That was great. And Barney wanted him too, so he had a little friend.
Yeah, but, that was cute.
Yeah, it's good that it's become like this family book. You've got this dark character, and you think he's like this mean man, but you forget that he was a family man, and now he's like building this family.
Yeah, that's exactly it, because he lost his family in that whole, when everything went down. So you're right, he's making his own makeshift family now. So.
Right, good book.
We did have another question about Ghost Machine. Jolly said, so it's been a year since Ghost Machine was announced at New York Comic Con. Do you think it's had enough sales to be successful so far? They have a large list of creators pay. Honestly, out of all the new imprints, they're the ones who seem the most successful. Even things that I think have had big names like Distillery. I don't really hear people, like, there's not one title I can even name from Distillery. Like, there hasn't been a big hit, but I can name all the Ghost Machine titles, and I've seen people picking them up. Talking about them. I think it's one of the more successful imprints. And we'll talk more about it, but I've been liking Rick Remender's Giant Generator imprint as well. They've had a lot of good stuff, but I feel like more people like books from there than thinking about the imprint. I think with Ghost Machine, they think about Ghost Machine as a whole and then the books.
Yeah.
This is the way they promoted it.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even think of, it's kind of weird for me. Like, I don't look at as it imprint. I just look at the book. That's basically what I look at. Like, so okay, cool, you got an imprint, but I just look at it as Ghost Machine as its own thing. I don't even care. It's, I mean, it's just, that's how I look at it, I guess.
I think with Ghost Machine, the appeal is because you do have that shared universe, but those books, because they take place on different points of the timeline, they are very, distinctly their own thing, each series.
Yeah.
But they exist in that greater world, and they've just been solid books. They've got good creative teams on them, and they've been really strong stories so far. So
you know what it just reminds you of, like, when you see all these great writers doing all these independent books, it just reminds you how great of a writer that they actually are. And then you just remember that these guys, used to do Marvel stories. They used to do DC stories. And it's unfortunate that they no longer work for these companies and that they do these stories. I mean, listen, I'm happy that they're creating their own stuff, right? But it's unfortunate for Marvel and DC because they've lost a lot of good talent,
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they should pay more, I guess, the answer on that one.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it comes down to when you don't give people rights to the characters or to the stories that they create, and if they don't get paid the money that they should deserve, then it definitely makes sense why they should go out there and create their own stuff. I do not blame them.
You popped up the Rook Exodus thing. It's not over. I think it's on hiatus right now. It's in between arcs, right?
Yeah, I forgot when it was coming out again. I want to say October, I think it was.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think it was the end of October. The last time I looked at an issue.
We also had another question, which I did hear. The Mike Manhattan says, also, did you hear about Donnie Cates? Didn't know will be in Venom 3 until he saw the trailer. Yeah, no, that was definitely big news and not surprising news, honestly. Again, it goes back to that's just kind of how that works. It's sad, and I hope it changes, but it's a telltale. Like, it's been happening a lot. I just want to see Donnie Cates on something again, because we all like Donnie Cates. Yeah,
I really do. So we'll see. And we'll see what kind of impact Noel does have in that Venom movie. It definitely piques my curiosity now to go see it, because before I was like, I don't know. But now that he's in it, it makes me think if he's going to be in, if he's really going to be in this movie, or if he's going to just be teased,
I think he's going to be in it, but I think he's going to be the big bad with all the space stuff they're doing, but we'll definitely see. We're probably going to jump into the top 5, but before we do, I do have a Kickstarter going on, so I'm going to share that. And let me get screen share going on. Let's do share screen. Is Nightmare Wonderland. Nightmare Wonderland is our Kickstarter going on right now. It's about a queen version of Sleeping Beauty. She has an ex, which is Alice from Alice in Wonderland, and they get stuck in a nightmare version of Wonderland. So go check it out. We have about halfway through the campaign. So we are proud of the book, proud of the universe. If you like universes, that's a great one to pick up. And I think we're going to jump into top 5 and books now.
Yes, top 5. Sorry, I was looking at, my wife put together like a hurricane list stuff for tomorrow. So I was looking at stuff to possibly buy, because like I said, we're getting at least a tropical storm force winds, anything that now it keeps going up a little bit. So like anywhere between like 45 to 60 mile an hour plus winds. So it's just stuff that we have to be concerned about, So, and it's expected the worst weather's expected to come like Thursday morning to like Thursday night or something like that. So fun times, man. It's fun living in Florida. Let me say, and you deal with hurricanes too, though, right? Right, Brant, in Texas?
Yeah, but we're
not so much in your area, though.
Yeah, because we're in the middle, like closer to San Antonio. We just usually get the blowback from the storms. If we were in Houston or a little bit lower, we'd get hit. Lisa's got family to get hit, but yeah, we just get the storms.
Gotcha. We just get our storms every 20 years that hit, and we're never prepared for them.
Oh gosh. All right. So yeah, we're gonna get into those comic books now. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about. We'll start with Superman. Let's go with Superman issue 18, Absolute Power tie-in. This wasn't my favorite tie-in. It just, I'm not a huge Magik guy. You guys know that. And then you got Zatanna, barking at Superman going, the magic is the only thing that I have and it's gone. And Superman is just like, I hate magic. And, and I was like, I'm like, I really couldn't get into this issue all that much.
Which is funny because all the reasons that you hated it, I actually thought was really solid. I thought it was solid because I was like, oh, I like that she believes that all she has is magic. And I don't feel like we've been able to see the consequences of absolute power, of them getting their powers taken away. And that felt like the first time I got an emotional consequence of that event. And I felt like it tied into the event really well, but it also still continued the Superman story well, which tends to be not, tie-ins don't balance as well. And then we got that Doomsday teaser. I thought it was a really solid issue. And I like
that Doomsday teaser is not the first time they showed that, though.
In this, is it?
Yeah, they've showed that other books before. Yeah, they've showed that before.
In Action Comics or in Superman?
I don't know if it's Superman or Action, but I've seen it before in a Superman.
I must have missed that one because I don't remember that teaser. But I thought it
punching or whatever it is. Yeah, they showed it before. Yeah.
I thought it was cool that Doomsday's coming. It's been a while since we've seen him. It's like
I'm excited for it.
I'm excited for the Doomsday stuff.
And it was a good way to promote what's coming up, even though they had to tie in to Absolute Power.
So I'm kind of right in the middle of both of you with this issue. So it's I didn't hate it, didn't love it. I thought it was fine. But yeah, it was definitely not the strongest issue of Superman I've read. But it's still a good book. I mean, gorgeous art still. So
yeah, the art is the normal artist that's been on this book the whole time, you know.
Right.
It's just my thing. It was just like,
no, I get it. Yeah.
I was just like, okay, Zatanna. I'm like, I get it. You don't have your powers. Let's not be a crybaby about it, though. Like, you're gonna get your powers back. Come on, man. You know it's gonna happen that way.
But she doesn't know that. We know
that.
She
we know that.
It.
She doesn't know it.
She's gonna get her powers back. You know?
I got her emotion behind that.
Yeah, and her Superman just like, I like his little tricky little lie that he tried to get.
I like that too. That was nice.
I was like, oh, you're pretty slick there, Clark, or Kal-El, or Superman. You got three identities. I only got one.
He has all the identities.
Yes.
But I thought that was a line. I was just like, that is true. Zatanna doesn't have anything past, you know, her being.
You know, she could make up an identity for herself. She could just change herself. Put some glasses on,
but then she got to change her name.
You know, yeah, you could do that, just like Power Girl does. She does it, you know. She does the same thing.
Yeah,
Kara
I guess
does it, right? Doesn't she change her identity too?
Well, Kara, at least her name was Kara to begin with. I think Karen, same thing. Like Zatanna, she would have to change her actual name to get the secret identity.
She can change her appearance easily.
It's kind of, now that I'm thinking about it, it's almost like an unwritten rule that Magic characters just are who they are.
Yeah, John Constantine.
Constantine, Doctor Strange, you know, etc.
Just something to think about, right? I mean, you can do it. It's, you know.
We do have a question from the other world, according to Bob. Hey, I have a question. How do you guys think they're going to finish JSA now that Jeff Johns and Ghost Machine? With a whimper. I think that's been proven.
Unfortunately, I haven't kept up with the series.
I've kept up with it, but it's just been kind of there.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell his attention's elsewhere, right? I mean,
very much so, which it's been very delayed, and they're relaunching the series. I think it's just going to be kind of a forgotten run, which is sad because Jeff Johns was such a big voice for JSA like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go to X-Men issue 4 here. So X-Men issue 4 was an interesting read. I wouldn't say that it was my worst comic of the week. It's probably
was my worst, so that's so funny. Yeah, I really didn't like this issue.
It wasn't my worst, but it was low. It's the worst issue so far of the series. Yeah,
I felt like it was so unfocused. I just don't like this. Reminds me a lot of old X-Men, what we were getting for Krakoa, where it's like, again, very unfocused. You don't really know why the characters are there together, unlike Uncanny or unlike Exceptional, where they all feel like they belong to be together. There feels to be kind of a point to the series. To this, I still don't really, I'll continue to read it because it's the flagship, but I'm not feeling it as much. It just feels like it's there.
So I'll say what I did like about it. I like the conflict between like Beast and Cyclops.
Yes.
He's like being so focused on his work, and they kind of hinted at something that happened to Magneto that we've not really seen the full extent of what exactly that issue is. So there's a little bit of mystery there, and then there's the Magik and Colossus thing playing back and forth with Chess and how that's going to play out later on. So there were little nuggets here and there, but overall it was just like, let's just go fight. You know, it was a big action heavy issue, and there is that issue of like these new mutants, but it's very like just kind of on the cusp. We're not
trying to get that new mutant. Yeah, and there's this big distraction, and then you got that Sugar Man guy. Who the hell is Sugar Man? I never heard of this guy. You know,
I've seen him before, but very rarely.
Right. And then again, another little crybaby, like Hank is just sitting there going, "But my work is so important." And I'm like, shut up, Hank. Just go out there and fight, man. Like, listen, I know your work is important, but you got Scott. He's telling you what to do, so you better get to work and go do your battling, you know?
Yeah. I mean, he's acting like he's never been an X-Men or Avenger before.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, what is happening there, you know?
Yeah.
But I guess, you know, I agree with Kat here. It's like kind of like you kind of don't really know what the real direction of this comic, like, who is this? Why is this Sugar Man here? Like, out of all people, how did Fitzroy get involved? Like, why is he like one of the main bad guys? It's just kind of weird. It just comes out of left field a little bit, you know. And I'm
there's
not
no interaction that's fun. There's no interaction where I'm like, oh wow, they feel like they belong in the same room. It's just it kind of someone just said, you know, it fell flat. It just kind of feels there.
You feel this team though doesn't work.
Yeah, I don't know. They have no chemistry.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, the only thing is, you know, with Magik having such respect for Cyclops, so that makes sense. Those two together, but other than that, yeah, it's something that's just a little off.
Did now I felt the artwork was better in this one. This Ryan Stegman
wasn't Ryan Stegman, yeah.
Ryan Stegman didn't do the artwork in this book. So I thought the artwork was actually a little bit more detailed. Characters felt a little bit more proportion. But like I didn't hate this book. Like I actually kind of enjoyed it for the action and there was some comical moments, but overall I think the biggest overall arcing problem with this is there's no real direction for the book. I feel like it's a little bit all over the place, and hopefully Jen McKay can kind of put things together here, you know?
Yeah.
So, all right. So there's that. There's X-Men. There's Superman. Let's talk about the big book of this group. The Moon is Following Us, issue 1. This is the newest Daniel Warren Johnson book. And this one throws you in right away, man. Lots of action right from the start. And at first it's tough to follow, but then you get to the end of the book and you're like, oh, now it all makes sense, right? And why all this stuff is going on. And however, as crazy and in your face it was, I appreciated how it did slow down at the end, and there is that good cliffhanger at the end of the book to keep it going. I did have fun with this. I like the action. I like the fantasy aspect. I like the characters in here. It's just a glimpse into that world, right? So
I'm not a huge fantasy fan, so the beginning really wasn't for me, but I agree. The ending gave me enough to want to pick up issue 2 because like, oh, there's the heart I was like from Daniel Warren Johnson. And I was like, all right, that gave me enough to want to see more, but I didn't love this premiere as much as some of his other titles just because it was so it throws you right into that fantasy, and if you do not like fantasy, I don't think there's really any elements you'll enjoy from there until you get to the end. And obviously, it's not his art. This artist I tend not
his
to
art
love,
is at the end of the book.
That was the best scene.
He does the human side of it, and then the other artist does the fantasy side.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah,
yeah, because it's like a VR situation.
Yeah, and I kind of got that right away that it was not actually happening just because of the different elements. Like you had fantasy, but you had guns and stuff like that. I'm like, this got to be a video game or something. So I kind of got that right away. I agree with you though, Kat. This wasn't my favorite of Daniel Warren Johnson's work. It took me a while to get into it. Once like you said, Mike, once we got to the heart of the story towards the end, I was like, okay, this is, you know, a little bit stronger than I was feeling at the beginning. But at the same time, it unlike some of his other work, this just didn't pull me in right away.
Yeah. So, well, you know what that is because it makes you feel like you're in a story right from the start. Like you would think like you're in an issue 3 and they're in this battle. Right. And it's like, you're trying to learn all the characters. You're like, because you think that maybe these guys are like the main characters, like the frog guy, you got the wizard, and you got the other guy, and you got this guy, and then you got you got the husband and the wife, and you're like, oh my God, who are all these characters? So they throw a lot at you, and it kind of gets you like, oh my God, where are we at in this world? And then I think now that it's slowed down, you might actually see how this whole thing created and how they get to the situation that they're in.
Yeah. And it's also like Riley Rossmo does the art in the beginning.
Yeah.
That's the Tim Drake artist. I'm not a big fan of Rossmo's work. Exactly. So it was like that too. Is like, you know, I thought it was better here than in a superhero book. I think it fit better in this kind of book.
I think it fits because it's not a character you're familiar with.
Right. So, you know, forgive that and everything, but yeah, it just, you know, I'm going to stick with it for now, but just not quite as strong as some of his other work. Yeah.
Gotcha. I'm going to stick with it the whole way just because it's Daniel Warren Johnson. He's earned my trust over these years. Yeah, so definitely going to stick with it no matter what. Like I personally really enjoyed the book. It was just rough getting into it from the start. All right, so let's see. Talk about our number 5. What is your number 5, Cat?
Mine is Superman. We already talked about it.
Oh wow, well, how lucky for us. Like it's just like boom right there.
I know,
like,
right?
We have so many more books to talk about. It's like, oh, we
somehow Superman was it.
Yeah. What about you, Brant?
I'll go with X Factor. Not as
that
strong
was my
as
number 6.
Yeah, not as strong as the first issue.
No,
I don't know what the missing element is there. I do like the stuff with Havoc and Polaris and that constant struggle between them, but I don't love the arc of her being involved with like this group of activists or whatever they're gonna be. So I don't know how I feel about this book now, because it feels like a completely different book than issue 1. But there was still some strong elements and strong kind of viewpoints expressed in this issue.
So what I talked about when I reviewed this book is that I still like it. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
However, it's hard to feel this book out. What is it going to be? Is it going to be a serious book? Is it going to be a comedic book? Is it going to be, is it going to be both? Is it going to, there's so many different moments where things swing. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? I think it's an okay thing because it doesn't make it so just like, I don't know, just predictable all the time. I like when you have, certain emotions in the book that swing like that, but it is hard to tell where this book is going to go. I like the first issue better as well, just because it had more of the comedic element into it. But eventually it can't all be that way because they're going to go on missions and they're going to, I guess, figure out what the government is doing, that they're using the X Factor for their benefit or whatever it is. And they tried throwing in that comedic element with the corn dog situation and then the Granny Smythe drowning in the pool and stuff like that. But it didn't hit like it did in the first issue.
I agree.
Yeah, I think the Polaris and Havoc stuff was the strongest, like you guys were saying. And that was the element that I enjoyed the most. But yeah, the through line was not what it was in the first issue. But I still like the art. I still like the vibe of the book. So even if it wasn't like the first issue and wasn't as good as the first issue, I still liked reading this issue. Just missed my top 5.
Me too. Yeah.
Honestly, Mark London has kind of won my trust over the years. I think like some of his earlier stuff, like Flintstones and stuff, I felt was a little too heavy-handed for me personally. But as I've read more of his work, it's resonated more with me, and I'm definitely gonna stick with this one. But
I think he's hysterical. Like I really like. I genuinely laugh when I read his books. I think Second Coming is a brilliant series that he writes, as I've talked about many times on this series this podcast. So I'm here for the ride for sure. I think this is definitely one I'm gonna keep on my pull list for a while.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. My number 5 was actually the Mark Spears Monsters book, the book that I actually promoted, which is just, and I'm not saying that because I promoted it. But I thought it was actually really well written and the artwork is absolutely superb in it. And it's kind of cool because it's about this monster hunter and his name is the Slayer, which is hilarious. But and there's this ring that is actually this thing from the past, and if somebody gets a hold of this ring, they can unleash these evil spirits and all this other stuff. And it was really cool how it was introduced. So like if you like, Universal monster books that have been coming out, but you want like, I don't know, something maybe a little bit more in-depth story, this is something that you might like Van Helsing is in this book, and you get to see some flashbacks. And like I said, you want to see some like intense artwork. Like it's really good. Like the artwork that you see on the cover of these books is what you see inside the book. So like if you've done, if you've gotten his cover art from like Spawn and all these other types of books, like that's what you're going to get in there. So really good stuff. Definitely much better than I expected. I've always saw like just the interior art of the book. I never read it before. So when I read it, I'm like, wow, this is pretty good. It definitely piques my interest here. So I wish him the best of luck, when it comes to the rest of the series.
Cool.
So that's that. That's my number 5. Okay, so now we're gonna go on to Wonder Woman issue 13. This continues the Absolute Power tie-in. Is it still with Damian in this issue too?
Mm-hmm.
It is, but I thought this was the weakest of them all. Honestly, I really disliked this issue. This is a you're gonna like this one, Mike. The whole issue was about Steve and Wonder Woman making out,
and
the whole issue.
Damian's watching them.
Yes.
Yeah.
What?
Because they just kept kissing. He just kept talking. They just kept kissing. He's like, gross. Stop.
It does not move the plot by any means. It was a weird issue, and I only like the art. I did not like this issue very much. But also, like, it just didn't look. Have a steamy make out in the comic. I'm not saying that, but like, it just there's no story to it. Like, there's nothing there about their romance. It's just them making out.
Yeah, the only good part about it was when Wonder Woman was deflecting the bullets, even though she doesn't have her powers. And then afterwards, she was like, I think I broke my arm because I took these bullets because I had to stand to so they could free all the other heroes. That was like the strongest part of the issue. But the rest of it was exactly what Kat said. And it just took me completely out of it. Damian didn't feel like he was in character either. It felt off. Something was off about it.
I'd even buy this issue. I bought that last one and I didn't like it because of the repetitive nature of it. So that's why I was like, nope, not buying this next one.
I really liked the last issue and I was like excited for the Robin and Wonder Woman stuff. And then this, and it was like,
and you got disappointed.
Yeah, it was weird.
That sucks.
Better only be this time. I like the series a lot. So
well, aren't we getting we're getting the DC All In with the next Wonder Woman. That's what we're getting.
It's a separate series. I thought this is still going on.
No, it still continues. It's
like a banner on it.
It's a banner. Yeah, it's a
like
banner.
Birds of Prey is too.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
But this is like the other, not absolute though, right?
Not absolute, just all in. Yeah,
just all in. This is like
it's confusing because they're doing both at the same time.
Right, absolute's a different title. This is still going on.
Yeah, the all in is a continuation of the numbering, but it's the new jumping on point, all brand new stories for the regular ongoing titles that are still going on.
Yeah, no, I don't think the book's gonna change that much, even with the all in stuff. But maybe it'll be new reader friendly for somebody.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to hold off on Dazzler for a minute. We're going to go on to Destro, issue 4. Obviously, Brant and myself read this book. I thought that this was more a weaker issue for me.
Yes,
I liked it, but this whole series is very much set up. And maybe that's the way Dan Waters writes. I don't know. And I realized it in this issue that the artist that does this book is the same artist that did Dark Ride. Cat.
Yeah.
So
really?
Yeah.
I'm not surprised by that though, because of it being a Sky.
I saw the faces in there. Right. I'm like, where am I seeing this from? And then I'm like, this is the Dark Ride artist. It finally kicked in. So.
Yeah, but, which is a little funky for a G.I. Joe book. But
and I said the same thing when I talked about it. Yeah. But yeah, it was a lot of again, just standing around talking about it. It's like it's a whole world building title. I feel like that's what this is. It's obviously the weapons manufacturers trying to, one up each other, but at the end of the day, they're all gonna wind up coming together, and Cobra Commander is the one that's gonna be in charge of them all. You know.
I like that we had references to the Duke series here. I like that there was that connective tissue. But like last issue when he was battling Chameleon and all that stuff, I thought that was a little bit stronger, and we learned about the history of his clan and all that stuff. I thought that was a stronger issue than this.
Absolutely.
This being the penultimate issue of the series, I expected a little bit more. We got a little bit at the end with the coming together of Cobra Commander and the twins, but yeah, it just like you said, it was a lot of standing around and talking. I wanted a little bit more from this issue.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So here we go. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about Dazzler issue 1 before we
get us sing on
to it. Hey, I don't know if you guys saw my video. I sang in that video.
Did you really?
Yeah,
I sang it in my head as I read it, but I sang it in my head as I read it, but
no, like I did. So if you go back and watch my Worthy Ones video,
yeah,
I talk about Dazzler in there, and you're gonna see a performance in there.
All right, I'm ready to watch it.
Watch it.
I try not to watch your Worthy Ones until after. I like watching
there's a light show in it and everything. It's really funny.
We should just go pull it up right now and just
and let's actually screen share it.
Oh yeah, you should.
But no, this book is interesting because as a Dazzler fan, I thought it was very solid. Like I enjoy just seeing her back singing. I enjoyed the whole mutant conversation about, she's this famous pop star and people love her even though she's a mutant, but obviously people don't love mutants. I like that. It was very gray. But I think if you're not a Dazzler fan, it doesn't really convince you to want to buy the next issue because it's just like there's no through line. There's literally nothing that pulls you to the next issue besides she's a singer. So yeah, as a Dazzler fan, I was content. I was happy, but it was nothing like Exceptional X-Men where I'm like, wow, this is so powerful. Like this is a great Kitty Pryde book. This is just like a fun Dazzler book, which Dazzler doesn't have to be very specific.
So I can say that this would be my She-Hulk. That's what this book is going to be for me. And I didn't think about this until after I did my Worthy Ones video. And my thought process was, where did I most recently read this same story? Oh, wait, it was Spider-Gwen, that most recent miniseries that she had when it was the Hulk. Remember the Hulk one, right? When she's in a rock band and she's singing or she's doing her drums, and then the next thing you find out, here comes the Hulk. It was very similar to that, and I was like, wow, this is almost the same thing. And but I'm right there with you when you think about it. Like, I like the message kind of like this book brings, because what does music do? It brings everybody together, no matter what nationality or whatever race that they are, and everyone can come together and have something in common and forget about their problems. And I love that message that it brings. But the overall, like you said, plot of it, like what's the real plot of this story, right? We don't know yet.
There is definitely none, and I don't even expect there to be any. And honestly, like I'm kind of okay with that. Not everything has to be Shakespeare, and that's fine.
Yeah, I'm right there with both of you. I love the characters that are in this. I love like her little makeshift band family. Strong Guy was as a roadie or whatever. Mm-hmm. Domino is security, and Jamie Magik's all over the place. I don't know. It's just the vibe of it appealed to me. I know it probably won't appeal to everybody, but I just had fun with it, and that's all I really need out of it. Yeah, exactly. So I've got this pulled up and queued.
Oh yeah.
Let's see it. Let's just see it now. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. Lyrics of the Dazzler. Here we go, guys.
That's so funny.
This is what she sings in the comic book. Here we go. Homo superior. They say the power's beyond compare.
You sound like a Power Ranger villain.
Sing to Dazzler to share. You can call me Dazzler for the light I bring, but the truth is, it's a burden. It's a heavy thing. They say I meant for more to fight along the brave, but my heart belongs to the stage where I can truly save. See me in the shadows, I'll shine in a spotlight. Glow for the power of my voice. It's the only truth I know. I'm a mutant with a dream, just trying
Marvel,
to connect.
Tries to get this
my
version
career's
from you.
On shaky ground with secrets I must keep. But when I sing, I find my strength in every note, in every leap. Out and proud, out and proud. Don't be ashamed of it, out and proud. Rock on, baby. There it is. There's the lyrics of the Dazzler issue 1.
Also, the lyrics are so gay. Proud and proud, Adam.
I'm like reading it, and I'm like, these are horrible. They don't even rhyme or anything.
Oh, you got me on that. No,
Okay, no, you created your new version of it.
That was just totally like improv. Like read it off of the comic book and just went with it.
That's awesome.
I did think the bucket hat worked for the vibe.
I had
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, check out you know what's something that was interesting. I saw more hate for Dazzler than Exceptional X-Men, and I think that's so like great. You know, obviously thankfully less people are homophobic, but I just think it's so interesting. Like people are like, "Fuck Dazzler," like they did not want to see her. So it's just, and even some of our commenters here, they're like, "I skipped it. I don't want to see it." I think it's just one of those type of books that is just not for everybody, which is cool. But yeah, no, it's just so interesting how divided people are on Dazzler.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, colors were really good in the book, though. Like, I think the coloring is very important in that book. If you don't have bright colors, it's a fail, right?
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. And
I
gotta be as bright as the light effect that you had.
No, nothing can be as bright as that.
I appreciate you guys chiming in on the performance there. It was one of those things where it's like I had to do it, and I made a statement also. If they make a song on every single one of those issues, I'm going to do one every time, and then I'm going to put together all 4 of them, and then you're going to have a video album right there on YouTube.
I think that's a very good idea. I hope they do, but I have a feeling they're just going to repeat the same song over and over again, knowing how these things work.
I did love that he actually wrote out a full song. Like that was pretty cool, even if it was cheesy. It was cool.
No, I mean, good for them.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have to do a duet, Mike. We'll do a duet.
Oh my God, this is crazy.
Get some dancing in.
Get a whole band. Like we get the singing, we get the guitar, we get the drums. It's so funny. All right, so where are we at here now? We're at number 4. So Brent, what was your number 4?
My number 4 was Destro, actually. So
okay. What about you, Kat?
Mine was Dazzler, so
jeez, man. We talk about so many.
And there's 17 books, man. So there's just like
yeah.
Well, once again, I'm gonna get the oddball book in here, you know, in the number 4. So the number 4 for me was Lilith, issue 1. And I actually
that was good.
I actually went to Kat to say I wanted to know if she read it, because if she didn't, I wanted her to kind of get her hands on it. So yeah,
I just hated it was hard to get a physical book. Like I really need to put it on my poll, because you saw last time they'll just be like, oh, I'll just get it and they'll have it because I have a bigger store. But like I'm glad I got it digitally because I want to read this book. Yeah,
this was a FOC for me. So like I had to let them know, pre-order it for me. So this is a good book. I mean, it's about some demon model chick that's been banished from her world, and she doesn't know how to get back, and she eats people, you know, and it's a very graphic book, and that's how she feeds, and she winds up possibly getting mugged, which she could have handled herself, but somebody saw her getting mugged, and they kind of crossed paths, and this girl is a very innocent girl, and she wants to do anything in her heart to help her. And just when she was getting on her nerves, and just when you think like, you know, she was going to eat her or whatever it is, she saw this book, and this book might be a way for her to get back home. So I was like, oh, that's very interesting. I was like, I want to see how that adventure starts, and I want to see how this relationship develops. And the artwork in this book is very good, and reminds you of what is it, the Red, White, and Blood books from Marvel, or whatever it is. And it was a nice looking book, and so I want to continue it.
Me too. Yeah. I'm gonna try getting it on my pull list. Sorry if you hear some background noise, but I liked it. I agree. The art was good. I liked her vibe. They introduced her really well. I liked the potential romance that they're going to be doing. Yeah, definitely 100% gave me enough to want to get issue 2. It's how you kind of hook yourself for a premise. Honestly, you've kind of seen before. We've seen vampire books. We've seen vampires as models. We've seen queer vampire stories, but all kind of came together really nicely.
Yep.
Is this something I would like or just not my thing?
I don't know.
Try it.
That's why I didn't try it. Yeah.
I think you should try it because for anyone actually, the not who publishes this. Vault, thank you. Vault,
Yeah.
they have the issue for free. They have issue 1 for free. They
Really?
They have so read it.
Okay.
It's digitally. They have a digital version they did for like a promotion. So check
okay.
it out. I think it's worth at least giving a try. I don't think it's a hard no for you, Brant.
Yeah. Gotcha.
It's kind of bloody and kind of gory, and it starts off a little,
Yeah.
risque, I guess you want to say when first read
but
it.
It's good character work, which
Yeah.
I think you'll like. And there's a mystery. Like there's a mystery built in as well.
Cool.
All right. So let's move on to this book. Let's talk about it. Spirits of Vengeance, Brant.
I skipped that one.
All right, let's talk about it. You hated it. I liked it better than I thought I would.
Did you?
Yeah, but I'm not a Ghost Rider fan.
See, but I'm not either, though.
Okay.
And so I guess when you come off of a Benjamin Percy run that was written very well, and then you come off of this Final Vengeance book that was a lot of fun with the Hood, Parker Robbins as the Spirit of Vengeance, and then you get this other writer that's on here, and the dude's in a wheelchair, and I don't know, man. And the art looked weird to me. Like the people had like bug eyes. I don't know, man. There was just something up with it. I did not like it at all. Just my personal opinion here. It wasn't for me. I couldn't get into it. What's with the dinosaur at the end? Where's this guy get this raptor from?
I don't know where the raptor came from. That was weird. That was just out of left field. I agree with that. Looking forward, I think like all the Ghost Rider characters are going to pop up in this though. Like Hood's going to be there, Robbie Reyes, etc. All of them are going to be in it. As somebody that's not a huge fan of I didn't read the last run or any of that stuff. I just kind of went into it like, okay, I'm just going to see what this is like. And I just kind of liked it. It felt like, I think I compared it to like, an episode of like Amazing Stories or Hitchhiker or like an anthology like Black Mirror or something like that, where it was just like this scarecrow that just comes to life and like attacks people. That's the vibe that it gave me. So it was like, okay, as a one issue, if I don't continue this, I kind of enjoyed this for what it was.
Right.
When they switched to the other character with the sirens and stuff, that's when it started to lose me because it's like,
that
okay,
was weird too. I'm like, where are we going with this?
Exactly. So then I'm like, I don't know what this book is anymore. But at that, the Scarecrow character, I kind of liked because it was something different. It was unique, and I didn't know where it was headed. So
gotcha.
But I totally get where you're coming from with it.
I mean, listen, if I had to recommend that Benjamin Percy Ghost Rider series, I've recommended it to a lot of people, and because people didn't give it a chance in the beginning, and there are a lot of folks that actually really enjoyed it because it's something different, and it starts off with it's so different because it's just like it's Johnny, and he's just like a married man, and everything is fine. He's normal. And then things start going downhill from him. It's a very like supernatural, psychological horror type of thing. And the artwork is phenomenal in it. So like that is really, I would say, the first Ghost Rider series that was ongoing that I read from beginning to end. Yeah. And I love the entire run. So like if you ever wanted to try out a Ghost Rider series, that would be one that I would recommend to you at least. Anyway.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, all right. So now let's talk about the book that I didn't read because I didn't get my hands on issue 2 for some reason. I forgot what happened. I don't know if it got damaged and I didn't read it and I just never picked it up. So, and I think I heard from you guys saying that issue 2 wasn't that great either.
Right. And issue 3 is just fine too. It's nothing. Honestly, I just think it goes through the motions. If you've read Witchblade before, it's the same book, except they're just retelling the story, which kind of feels weird. There's just nothing here. Like her inner monologue is fine. It's just like, it's not a bad book, but it's not a great book. And I want to give it more issues because I like Witchblade, but there's, like I said, there's not a real book.
That's kind of exactly how I feel. It's like I'm waiting for something bigger to happen with it. Like I'm waiting for like, I don't know, the darkness to show up, or some kind of connective tissue to what I know from like the Top Cow universe and all that stuff. I like the character. I like that it's Witchblade for a new generation, basically, is what it is. But yeah, it's just there's not a whole lot happening. It's just a lot of her kind of 3 issues of her trying to realize that she's got this magical artifact and she's becoming whatever she's becoming, and it's taking
last
a very
issue
long
she was
time.
just horny. I mean, if I remember correctly, that was the whole issue.
That's true.
And then
Yeah.
this issue, again, she just kind of retelling things.
So it's
and
like a very long origin story.
Exactly.
Yes, an origin that has already been told.
Right.
Yeah. Countless times. But yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
For whatever reason, I still like it though.
This is not offensive, right? There's nothing like it's not great, but it's not like the worst thing you've ever read either. So it's just like, oh well, let's see where it goes.
See, but those are going to be one of those books where I think you're going to have to make a decision. Do I keep it? Do I drop it? Because
sure.
October and November are going to be like the months that are going to destroy your wallet. And you're like,
I know.
It's already destroying my wallet because like this week I've spent like $100 because I didn't get to read it yet, but I am going to read it, and I promise I want to do it for my newsletter. Beneath the Trees came out for the trade, so I got that, and then I got, which I didn't love the book, but I got like the $10 R.L. Stein book, and it's just like there's
I didn't
so
buy
many.
it. I did not.
It wasn't worth
I wasn't going to
it.
spend $10
I didn't
on
get it
either.
Lenny. Issue 2 comes out like in March or April. It comes out like 5 months from now.
When do you plan on reading Beneath the Trees, Kat?
I know I want to read it within the month because this week I'm not going to read it for Lenny. Sorry.
Lenny, you better be quiet.
She's got to be quiet, Lenny. Right? Oh, she listened to that. So anyways, I want to read it for either in the next newsletter or the newsletter after that. She listened for a second. Give me a second. I'll answer that.
Yeah, you're good.
Soon is the answer, Mike.
Are you going to read it, Brent?
I'll read it. Yeah, sure. I'll grab it and give it a read. Go ahead.
What was the cost for the trade? Was it $10?
Yeah, it wasn't expensive. It was like $10 or $15. Bad dog, and now she's eating my hair.
It's because she's a puppy. That's all.
No, she's a good girl.
Are you wanting to talk about it together, Mike, or what?
What's that?
Are you wanting to talk about it together?
Sorry, Beneath the Trees.
Yeah,
I would love to. I would love to talk about it with you guys once you guys read it. I think that would be fun. I mean, I know I was the one that was always talking about it, so like I would love to have a conversation with you guys about it and see what your thought is on it,
No, yeah. I think, again, I promise you I am going to read it. And I have another book I read or I bought at Baltimore I want to read. It's like a Buffy styled YA book, and I'm a big Good Mythical Morning fan. So one of the people on Good Mythical Morning wrote it. I actually got to meet him in Baltimore. So I was like, oh, that's cool. Like the two worlds collide type thing. So Jordan Morris, he's like a comedy. Yeah. And it looks really good. I'm very excited to read it. So, but I am probably going to read Beneath the Trees first. Cause I genuinely want to read it too. Like, I think it's a good excuse to try reading it.
Got it. Couple people here saying Beneath the Trees is really good too. So KG Comics says it. Ruled Out War Comics says it as well. Just picked up the trade. So yeah, it's definitely worth the read for sure.
Nice. Okay.
All right. So let's see. Let's talk about where are we at? Number 3?
Number 3, I think.
I think so.
What are you at, Cal? What do you got for your number 3?
My number 3 is Powerpuff Girls, believe it or not. It's issue 3. I think this is a really good job at doing this type of series. It introduces a new villain, which is like villain number 400. And they're like, oh, who cares? This is a stupid villain. And he's like, well, I don't want to be a super villain. I don't want to be a filler villain. I want to be like the Mojo Jojos, the Hymns. And I thought it was an interesting commentary on like comics that are based on shows where they try to do something different, and it's like, well, they're not going to stick. They'll never be Mojo Jojo. So I really liked it. I thought it was a fun way to do this issue.
That's cool. Yeah, I really liked the first issue, but I didn't get the second, so I obviously didn't.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
The second wasn't as strong, but this issue
Yeah.
was good, and it's fun. I like light reads sometimes. I like
Yeah.
filling my pull list with something that's very easy.
Yeah,
And I
totally
think
get
this
that.
is easy. This, Primer is an easy read. I read the Multiverses book, which I wish I liked a little bit more than
Yeah. I
but
read
I
it
did.
as
Actually, I think
well.
it's on here, right? I think it's on the. We'll wait
It might
until
be.
we get to
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was mine. That was my number 3.
All right. So mine was Deadpool.
Yours is Deadpool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's issue 6.
I did
first
pick it
issue.
up.
Did you? Cool.
Mhm.
It's the first issue of the second arc. Just more of the same, except for Deadpool. Basically, something really bad happens to him at the end. But,
Based off of that, I guess we can tell what happens, huh?
yeah. So I don't know. This is a fun book. I enjoy
it
this
really
book.
is, man.
Yeah. It's just it's the family aspect of it. He's got 2 kids, and they go into battle. He gets her a super suit, but I love that Taskmaster is like, "You're gonna wear my logo too, kid, because you're representing
He's like,
me."
I trained you. Yeah. Like I don't blame him. But you gotta like Deadpool there. Like he finally got paid for the job. He's finally got his family. He's finally got things going right for him.
Right.
And then
it all
and
falls
then
apart.
the unexpected happens, and you're kind of like, whoa, like that kind of sucks. But I loved seeing Ellie out in the field. I loved seeing Taskmaster chilling out in the van. I love the fucking dog. Like I love Princess. Like I just love the whole thing. The art looks really good. It's a well-balanced issue. The fourth wall is done very well in this series.
That's what I said on Friday first to it. It's like this is the best balance of that fourth wall breaking and like, regular storytelling and comedic timing and drama that I've seen in a Deadpool series ever.
Right.
Personally. So
I also thought, as someone who has not picked up the other 5 issues or read them, it was really new reader friendly. Like it does a really good job at like, all right, I haven't picked up an issue, but I don't really feel like I'm lost in any way. It didn't make my top 5 because I'm obviously not as connected to the characters yet, but it was pretty close. It was like number 7 or 8 because like I had a good time with it. I thought the characters were fun, the art's solid.
Yeah,
I'm glad you liked it. I mean,
me too.
I had a feeling I would with what you guys were saying. So I'm like, oh, let me start picking it up.
I personally think that this is Cody Ziegler's best series so far, in my opinion. I really do. And I just think, like, again, when you got Ellie on there and she dons that costume for the first time, it was like a big moment, just overall, just great stuff in this book. And I'm really enjoying it. So,
yeah,
and that says a lot when for a Deadpool series.
Yeah,
none of us really like Deadpool that much,
right? And just like little touches, like you don't see in other books, like him saying, like, it's got 4 layers of Kevlar and stuff. This mission's going to pay that off, by the way. Just little things like that I love in this book, and it's a testament to how much Cody Ziegler has grown as a writer in such a short time.
Yeah,
I really like, it's becoming one of my favorite writers, I think. So,
yep. Absolutely. Great stuff.
We do have a question from Alfred. Who'll be at New York Comic Con? I'll be tabling there, so I'll be in Artist Alley, so I'll have some exclusive items too, so go check that out. And I'm sure there'll be plenty of news that comes out of New York Comic Con that we'll cover on the show.
Yeah, I'd love to be there, but I'm not going to be there.
One of these days, got to get there.
But I definitely can't go. Too far away from me.
One of these days.
Yeah. So my number 3 was actually the Tin Can Society.
It's a good one.
One of 9. That's a pretty solid book as well. It just, it opens up with like this horrific murder, and you're just like, oh my gosh, what happened to this guy? And then you find out the whole, there was a group of friends, and you got to see kind of like their history, and you get to see the one person trying to, like, I guess, going to all the friends, saying, hey, just wanted to let you know this person died, blah, blah, blah. Are you going to the funeral? And, and they're like, is everybody else going to the funeral? And they're like, and it was kind of interesting just to see an insight of everything that was going on. And this person had obviously an issue since they were born,
Yeah.
and then it looks like he
Like a
became like a
disability.
superhero or something like that.
I like
Right.
that they didn't reveal it too. I really
Yeah.
liked how they revealed information in this issue where it's like, oh wait, he's a superhero, and that wasn't like thrown in your face. I thought the
Right.
mystery was really well done. The art was good, and this is how
Yeah.
you build an ensemble. Like I felt like everyone had a voice. Like
Right.
it was definitely a surprising book. I didn't really expect anything because I knew nothing about the title. It was just like, oh, this
Yeah.
looks cool. I guess I'll buy it.
And also, like, the best mysteries are when everybody's a suspect and you kind of have reason to suspect
That's
everyone.
what I was gonna say.
Sure.
Yeah, and that's exactly what this book did. Like, every
Mhm.
single character could be the culprit. So
Mm-hmm.
You know, Rick Remender has a writing credit in this book. Like,
It's his imprint.
yeah, it's the giant generator.
okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I was in there. But great stuff though, man. I really, really did not expect. I didn't know what to expect from this book. Like,
Same.
I remember I think I put it on my FOC, and then when I got this book in my pool, I'm like, Tin Can Society. I'm like, what the hell is that about?
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool though, what you find out what the Tin Can Society actually is.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought that was a nice little touch. It felt, very like 80s in that way.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So definitely a fun book. I'm looking. Well, I guess it's not a fun read, but it's definitely
Very
Beautiful,
heavy
yeah.
read, but yeah,
you
it's
get
a
done
good book.
reading it and you're like, man, that was great. Like you
Right.
had a good enjoyment reading the book. So
Yeah.
that was that. All right. So let's go to Absolute Power. Okay, so I didn't get a chance to read this one. So Absolute
Okay.
Power Super Sun issue 1. This was the only
On you,
book I
Brent.
didn't read for the week.
This was a lot of inner monologue for John. That's basically what it was. And it was, so the whole issue was the Amazons trying to get every bit of Brainiac Queen code out of John, and him kind of try to decipher what was real versus what was still imprinted in him, and trying to come to terms with what happened to him.
Okay.
And also dealing with Dreamer's death and how he felt about Dreamer, that maybe there's like some kind of romantic thing there, and then
I
like
didn't know
tension
that.
between him and Jay. So
Really?
yeah, and they kind of came, because Jay is very against Dreamer because of what happened to his mom, and then John is very sympathetic towards Dreamer. So there was a lot of tension there. So that part of it was really strong, but the whole part of like what's real and what's not, and kind of digging into that, taking up the entire issue, kind of dragged it down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I did like, emotionally what John was going through in the issue. And
Okay.
the art was really
What's the
solid
end
as well.
result of this? Like, what's the point of it?
It was basically to excise all of the Brainiac Queen out of him so he could be back to being himself. But I think ultimately it was just to deal with like his relationship with Jay, to kind of, split that a little bit, because I think maybe they're going a different direction.
So is he himself now again?
Yeah, he's himself now.
And he's
in the
still
one
like,
shot. Interesting.
he still has all his relationships. Like, they didn't try to change the character again.
No, they didn't
Okay.
try to change it. Just like I said, there was like that. You got the sense that he kind of had feelings for Dreamer.
Gotcha. Okay. Interesting. All right. Which he's entitled to. I mean, come
Yeah.
on. You can't only have just one love in your life, right?
Yeah.
So that's the way it goes, man. All right. So let's see. That was Absolute Power. And we talked about Lilith.
Yep.
So we're going to go on to number 2. And Kat, what was your number 2 this week?
Mine was Lilith, so we already talked about it.
Okay. And Brent?
I was Dazzler. I just had fun with it.
Dazzler. That's right.
The
Wow,
Dazzler.
it should have been number 1 since I was a part of it. So.
That's true.
I didn't
If
know
we
that at
hadn't
the
heard
time,
the
yeah.
cover. Yeah.
Yeah.
My number 2 is The Moon is Following Us. So that was mine. All right. And now we're just going to go to X Factor, which we talked about. You kind of talked about Multiverse Collision Detection issue 1. So
Yeah, I don't know what this video game is, so I like Brian Q. Miller a lot. Like I love his writing, so I was like, okay, let me pick this up. But because I didn't know much about the video game, I was like, oh, there's like the superhero stuff I liked, but I think the only thing that might convince me to get it is like, oh, now Bugs Bunny is here. Like those could be fun crossovers, but the actual story I didn't, the plot I couldn't get into as much.
Yeah, so I don't know anything about the video game either. I assume it's just, Warner Brothers characters crossing over with DC characters. So
Sure.
That's fine and well. It's kind of like Marvel and Disney. But yeah, it was just kind of fun and cute, right? So there wasn't a whole lot more to it. I like that, like the characters that were playing the video game, because they were actually playing the video game. Like one of them was like, I just want to have Superman and Batman fight each other and switch costumes, and the other character's like, why? That doesn't make story sense. It was just that kind of thing. It felt like very meta in that way. But other than that, it's like, okay, it was fine.
Gotcha. We got comment right here. It says Green Lantern has been my favorite absolute tie-in. Most have not been as great as I had hoped. Excited for absolute Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. I agree. I agree
too.
I think by far, I think that one has been the best, because it not only has it somewhat maintained its ongoing story, but it's also come from the Absolute Task Force 7 book, and it continued from there. So you want to talk about a true tie-in. That is definitely a true tie-in right there. So I agree. And the last issue of that was actually pretty cool, man. I had a lot of fun reading that one.
Yeah, me too. I agree with that. I love that Amazo just kind of completely flipped sides based on Alan Scott's influence.
Absolutely. All right, so now it's time for our number one picks of the week. And Kat, what was yours?
Tin Can Society. I honestly felt like there was no flaws. It was a perfect issue one.
Good choice. Brant, yours was the same?
That actually was mine as well.
Nice.
Yeah. Same.
Very good.
I really love that book. Yeah.
And then mine was Deadpool.
Nice.
I just like how Deadpool has, I guess I would say, exceeded any expectation I have ever had from a Deadpool Marvel comic book, you know? So, and I like it. And I wish, and I hate always saying this, about certain Marvel books, but I wish all Marvel books were written like this. I wish Spider-Man was written like this. And it would be you would have a much different conversation of that character, So.
I agree.
All right. So now, Brant, we're going to hand it on over to you to our most anticipated comics.
Yeah. So let's get into it. And I think we mostly have different books. We might all have completely different books this week. So
first,
all right. Yeah, let's get into it. So speaking of absolute power tie-ins, we got Green Arrow number 16 is on your list, Mike.
Yep.
That's been a strong one as well.
Yeah, I would say that would probably be a strong second. I think, because it's just Ollie has been connected to Amanda Waller, and he's really only working for her to protect his family.
Yeah.
Based off of what happened in the last issue, that's all gone out the window at this point. So, everything's off the table at this point. So I'm curious to see what happens. I think he's fighting that Dr. Bright character in this issue. And the artwork is always really good in it. And is this Joshua Williamson's last issue on this book too?
It's getting there. If it's
really
not.
close, right?
Yeah. I think every book on the anticipated of everybody's, I think I'm looking forward to, and I think most of us are, most of them. But and we were just talking about Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man number 58. I can't say I'm excited about it, but I am curious about it.
It was between that and Ultimate, and obviously Ultimate I think is gonna be a better book, but there's not a big moment it seems like it's happening in that book. But supposedly this is gonna be a big issue, and it's gonna really show us what this next arc is.
It's supposed to be like the bloodiest issue or something, like most brutal issue of Spider-Man you've ever read in your life. I think the last time we got promised that was when Kamala's death happened, right?
Yeah. So I'm just like, all right, I am curious to see what's happening here. That doesn't mean I think it's going to be the best book, but I'm anticipating to see what it's about.
Yeah, for sure. Who's the artist on this issue?
I hope it's not John Romita Jr. Is it?
You're going to see panels just like this one. Just like us.
Last issue.
You're going to see
it. Goodness. Yeah.
No bodies.
and jaw lines.
That's true. We love his jaw lines.
Oh man.
All
right. So on my list, I got Nightclub 2 issue 2. I'm still enjoying it. I like the way the last issue played out with the turn, and now we're going to play that out and see. I think we're focusing on that side. I can't think of that character's name, but the guy that turned on them and kind of maybe joined the gang. We'll see that side of it. So curious to see how that plays out.
Brant, not to interrupt, but
yeah,
how would you like, instead of Peter fighting Tombstone, it would be Peter fights?
I think everyone would enjoy that more. Yeah.
That would be phenomenal. What if Peter was Tombstone this whole time? Or not Peter, Paul. What if Paul was Tombstone this whole time, like in like some kind of like disguise?
He stole Hallows Eve's masks.
Yeah.
Tombstone, yeah. I would love that. Yeah. I think we all would. All right, so we got the return of Feral finally, issue number 6.
Yeah.
That's finally back, and it's a good series.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely looking forward to it. I think their friend cat, I totally forgot that cat's name.
Patch, I think.
Yeah, maybe it's Patch. He wound up, I guess, surviving, know, but he's got rabies now, and now he's like totally out there in the wild, and Lord knows what he's going to do at this point.
Yeah. It's, I don't know. It's you don't know exactly where the story's going, but I'm there for the ride for sure.
Exactly.
Kill All Immortals is a book that we all enjoy. Issue 3 finally coming.
Didn't Thor died in the last issue? Yeah.
I think so, yeah. So things are getting intense. It crossed that line, and now got to pay the repercussions of that. So that's going to be good. If you all watching this have not checked out that book, it's definitely a good read. So.
Yeah, it's really solid.
Yeah. All right, we got Uncanny X-Men issue number 3. Hopefully better than issue 2.
I'm curious to see what these new
the
units
outliers
are going to be all about. Yeah, and I hope and I think we're going to get more information about them this issue. So
yeah.
We didn't get a chance to really talk about issue 2, did we? Did we?
Did it? No, I think we were. I think we were on.
Were we on?
I think so. I think we were on for issue 2.
Because it came out not that long ago. So
yeah,
I think we were on for it. Is
it a bi-weekly book? Is because
it
doesn't feel like it came that long.
How did issue 2 ended with them showing up?
Yeah, they showed up.
Yeah, we talked about that here.
They fought.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they showed up at the end of issue 1. In issue 2, I don't think we talked about it. Come to think of it,
yeah, in issue 2 they showed up and they fought each other.
Right,
and
like
I
one dude fought Wolverine.
I don't think we talked about it. And they fought each other, and I thought that was kind of uncharacteristic of them. Like, why would they fight each other? Like, they obviously need your help, and you're sitting there fighting them.
If it's bi-weekly. Yeah, if it's bi-weekly, it would have been last week when we weren't here. Yeah, so
I guess it was really forgettable because
that's what I'm saying. It wasn't a strong issue. Issue 1 was much better.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think we learned a little bit about them. Like, not some of them are mutants, some of them are not, and somebody's.
I know that the blonde girl isn't a mutant. Yeah.
Yeah, some hag is hunting them. They called her the hag or something like that. So, I don't know. Anyway, hopefully issue 3 is better.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see where we going next. We'll go Masters of the Universe, TMNT, Turtles of Grayskull. I may be the only one to pick this up, but I'm
gonna try it.
Okay. I know Cass.
It's a little corny looking with the cover. I thought it was hysterical though. Like I was like, look at Michelangelo with the He-Man hair.
Yeah.
It's funny.
A lot of people were talking about the TMNT Mutant Nation book. Seems like that was a lot of people's number ones. I don't know if you guys read that, but
I had no interest in reading that book because there was that preview book with TMNT issue 2 or TMNT issue 1, and then there was the Mutination book, and I'm like, I don't care about personally all of like the other people of TMNT. Like I'm not that hardcore of a fan of to read that personally.
The story was all about Raph, but from what I saw, but I wasn't sure if this was continuing the old timeline, if they were connected to the new book. I
Mhm.
didn't know that, and I couldn't figure it out. So I was just
Right.
like, yeah, I don't really need that. I'll just stick with the new book. So that's where I was going with
TMNT though is good. Like the
Yeah.
new one. I like that one.
right. Yeah, I do too.
There's been 2 issues of that, or just 1?
TMNT?
The new
Yeah.
TMNT? Yeah, 2.
2.
There was a
2
Raph
already.
issue and a Mikey issue. I think next it's Leo. So, all right. Zatanna bringing down the house. Is it the last issue?
No, I think there's
Is there one
2
more?
more. Yeah, I
2
think
more?
there's 2
Is it
more.
6 issues? Okay.
Maybe it's 5. This is definitely not the
Okay.
last one, though. I think
Okay.
it's either.
And
I
you
think
got
it's
Constantine
5.
in this one.
Yeah.
I love this book. I mean,
Yeah,
I
it's a good
just
book.
think it's such a solid character-driven series. Great art. I'm excited. I'm always excited to pick it up.
Yeah, me too. I've enjoyed it. So
Here you
And,
got there you go. There's your answer. Mutination #1 is telling the story of
okay.
in between the last round.
Oh,
of
so it's more for
TMNT and
people
then another story.
enjoy that.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't
Thank you
really
for
need
that
that.
info.
Yeah, thank you. That solidifies my choice then. Yeah, for sure. All right, and then finally, Ultimate Spider-Man, which you mentioned earlier, Kat, but this is Mike's #1. The Sinister Six makes their full appearance here, right?
Yeah, they're I think they're gonna make their full appearance in this
Yeah.
issue. You're gonna expect probably to see some action in this issue if I had my guess. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. And then who knows, you might get you get Black Cat, the old man, maybe he dies, and that's how you get the daughter in this thing. So I don't know.
She's coming soon. I do like the way Tevye worded this question. Any opinion on Ultimate Spider-Man coming up this week? It's coming up. It's coming out. No, I have a gut feeling that it is going to be a little fillerish because some of the issues happen. I hope something big happens. That's something I feel like it needs right now. And again, I like the series. I love the series, but it has been a little slow these past couple issues.
Yeah. Yes, sort of. Maybe they're teaming up.
I'm picking up that as well.
Yeah.
I just it wasn't in my top because I don't know anything about Usagi. So I'm just like, oh yeah, Power Rangers. I'll pick it up.
I know he's appeared in TMNT here and there, but yeah, that's all I know about the character. So that's it. That's all our most anticipated. Obviously, not all the books we're looking forward to, but
yeah, there's a lot more.
Yeah,
there's so many books that come out.
I got at least 20. I know that.
I think I have like 17 again. I haven't even done my list for October yet, so I got to do that actually soon. I'm gonna do a most anticipated video, so might have to do that tonight and see how many comics I'm getting in October.
Yeah.
So
something.
All right. Well, I guess that's it then. I think we're gonna wrap it all up.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you.
Before we do that, real quick. If plans go, accordingly and everything, Friday First live this Friday, and Kat and Mike might be guessing on it, and unless anything comes up and something schedules conflict or whatever. But that's the plan right now. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to having you both on the show, and that's going to be on my channel at Only Good Comics. So check that out sometime like midday Monday morning. So. Friday morning.
I'm excited for it. It'll be like a mini version of this show before this show. So if you want our opinions, that's a great place to go.
Yeah, exactly. So.
And guys, don't forget to just rewatch Worthy Ones if you just want to do a sing-along with the Dazzler lyrics once again.
Yeah.
#1 on the charts this week. So,
there wasn't any other competition, but
the chart is a chalkboard in Mike's garage.
I'm the best. It just says Mike Spider Slayer #1. Nothing under it.
Not even the song title because it doesn't have one. But
all right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. As always, make sure you subscribe to Comic Book Weekly YouTube channel to watch all the episodes there. You can also subscribe to my channel, Comic Book Corner 2.0. Give it a thumbs up. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything that goes live. And guys, we appreciate you. Thank you so much. And we'll see you next week. Have a great new comic book day.